Council, October 13th version. I now call this meeting to order. I would like to ask, before we get started, I would like to introduce two guests. We have cadets from the Carl Albert ROTC program. Nathan Frasco, he's a junior at Carl Albert. And when he graduates, he plans to go to college, but is not sure exactly where. He did mention the Naval Academy, so good luck with that. And then Elizabeth Whiting, she's a senior at Carl Albert, and she plans to go to Rose State for her first 2 years. So glad you're here. Glad to have the cadets back in council chambers, and welcome. With that being said, I'd ask that you stand and Mr. Sullivan come down and offer the invocation, and the Pledge of Allegiance be led by ROTC cadets.
Gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for this beautiful day that you blessed us with, Lord. We thank you for this council meeting and the men and women who serve in this capacity and give of their time and their talents and represent the people of their ward. Father, we thank you so much for this this beautiful city, this great state, and this great United States of America. Father, we're blessed people, and we are blessed to have men and women who are fighting and who are defending and protecting us, not only abroad, wearing the uniform of the armed forces, but locally as well, Father. Men and women in public safety, Father, and the men and women who ensure that we have great services in this city every day. Father, we're so blessed, and we just give you the glory and the honor for all of that. We're blessed to have your son Jesus and his death on the cross, as cruel as it was. Father, we thank you for the forgiveness of sin that we have through that sacrifice. Father, we ask all these favors in your son's holy name. Amen.
Amen.
Please join us in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you guys for being here. Now we move into community-related announcements. Ms. Eads, you have anything?
I have a couple. First off, this Friday, the Parks and Rec Department is doing Creepin' It Real at Joe Barnes Regional Park. It starts at 7:30 with The Nightmare Before Christmas, and then at 9 o'clock, Hocus Pocus. So bring your lawn chairs, your blankets, go out and see a movie outdoors this Friday evening. I also wanted to announce and sort of give a shout out to our community partner, Rose State. They have been doing what they call FAFSA nights for students to help students from our local high schools to come in and assist them with filling out their student financial aid information, irregardless where they want to go to school. And there's one of those this next Thursday, the 22nd at it's like 5 to 7 p.m. You can make an appointment if you want to go. I also wanted to give a shout out to them because a couple weeks ago they did a college fair, as I was speaking with Chief Klebs about, and they invited a number of schools in, and it gives a great opportunity for kids in our community to look at staying here for school or what else is out there. And so very thankful for the partnership that we have with them and the beautiful student union that they just dedicated in the last few days. If you didn't see the ribbon cutting pictures or pictures of that facility, it's absolutely gorgeous. I also wanted to mention that on the 31st, the Midwest City Trick or Trail event is happening from noon to 3. And Mr. Lyon, I'm going to take responsibility since I got us into this, but I asked if, at a committee meeting recently, if council and staff might come together to assist and volunteer with that event. It's always great to see the kids in their cute costumes and so forth. And so that's going to be from noon to 3. We've been assigned to pass out goodie bags and some bubbles and be the first stop on the trail. So I hope all of you on council and staffers will come out and assist with that, because it's a really cute and fun event. I'm sorry? So it's going to be on Joe B. Barnes Drive, and
Claudia, can you answer that? Where would we want to meet at for those that are going to help?
The drive-through where as you're going through, Reno's Swimming Slide, the parking lot, just kind of around that whole entire area. And we're gonna be the very first table as staff and council. So like as you very first come in, that very first spot. But if you just look for one of us, myself or Grace or Susan, we'll make sure to plug you in the right spots.
Where do we park?
Park the basketball courts, Tim.
Basketball courts? Okay.
And again, I want to thank everybody for your willingness to participate with this. I think that'll be great.
So, what's our costumes?
I'm going to be Mayor Matt. That one's already been taken, so you'll have to find your own.
Oh, I've got a surprise. No, that's yours. I distinctly remember you claiming that one, so.
So I want to turn serious for just a second, and I feel like I would be remiss to not make mention that I'm aware that there has been a lot of conversations happening from members on this horseshoe with executive staff, city management, and with the police department with regard to our recent gun violence. And I just want to thank everybody. We're working well to come together, and I want the citizens to be aware that that relationship is functioning, and we are making plans to address these issues. And so sometimes we know that we're taking action, but the citizens don't know that we're taking action. So if anybody wants to elaborate on that, but otherwise, I just wanted to thank everybody for that cooperation. Thank Chief Claves and the police department for what they're doing in that regard. And again, you know, our heartfelt sympathy goes out to the family members of those who have lost their lives recently due to this gun violence. And so that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Eads. Does anyone else have anything before we turn it over to Mr. Lyon?
I have a couple of things. Oh, go ahead. Yeah. Anybody else
No.
on council? Okay.
All right, Mr. Lyon, the floor is yours.
So, as we discussed trick or treat, we are leaving the decision on whether to trick or treat up to our families in neighborhoods, but we have guidance for trick or treaters and trick or treat givers on our website. So, and then we have the alternative to trick or treat with what we just talked about, the city's trick or trail from noon to 3 p.m. on Halloween at Joe B. Barnes Park. So if there's any questions, go to our website, or you can contact our communications and marketing department with any questions. But there's a press release on our website that goes into kind of what our recommendations are and expectations that the children wear masks along with the parents, and anyone that is providing candy, that they turn their light on in their porch and that they wear a mask and hand the candy out to the kids. Don't let the kids put their hands in the candy bags. So anyway, any more, Claudia, on that I'm missing? That's
I'm sorry. There was also a recommendation for those handing out the trick-or-treats if they would set up a table by chance and then be able to pass it over a table, so it keeps the trick-or-treaters back, and so you can social distance that way in the recommendations. That might be worth mentioning to folks if they can do that.
yeah. Our last Cruisin' for Coffee of the year is Saturday, October 17th from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. at the Santa Fe Cattle Company parking lot. It's at 7101 Southeast 29th, free admission and no entry fees. So to be our last chance to show off our cars, our classic cars. The City of Midwest City's 10th annual food drive is at our Midwest City Sam's Club, November 6th, 7th, and 8th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Is Mike here? Okay. We served a tremendous number of people last year in the community, hundreds of people. I can't tell you the exact number, but
We collected $30,000 worth of food last year.
yeah. So anyway, please join us in donating food on those 3 dates. 2020 Veterans Day Parade is Wednesday, November 11th at 10 a.m. This year's theme is Welcome Home Vietnam Vets. The Grand Marshal is Colonel Retired Charles B. or Chuck de Bellevue. He's America's top flying ace of the Vietnam War. So we're very honored to have him as our Grand Marshal and very excited about all the festivities surrounding the parade, and we'll pray for good weather this year since we have not had good weather for a couple of years. Mayor, anything you want to say on that? You've been
No, again, 2020 marks the 45th anniversary of our pullout of Vietnam, and as you know, our Vietnam veterans were not welcomed home in a welcoming fashion. I felt like, and the council felt like that we needed to give them a welcome home, so we're taking this opportunity to do that. Coupled with that, since the weather has been not kind to us the last 2 years, we are having a reception for the Vietnam veterans at the Reed Center at 6 o'clock on Monday the 9th. And basically, it's just a get-together again to welcome them home. The Colonel is going to be our keynote speaker, and we encourage all the Vietnam veterans to, Vietnam-era veterans to please come and let us shake your hand, thank you for your service, and welcome you home like you should have been to begin with. So again, I appreciate the hard work that the staff has done to bring this together. It looks like we've got a significant amount of entries. We're probably going to be a little short from last year on our entries for the parade, but we're still going to have a parade, and we're still going to welcome these men and women home like they should be. So thank you, Mr. Maloney.
Thank you,
What-
Mayor.
When is the reception? I'm sorry, I missed that.
It's going to be Monday, November 9th, from 6 to 7:30 at the Reed Center.
6 to 7:30. There we go. Thank you. Sorry about that.
I will let the council know, while you're at the Reed Center that night, the model rooms should be done. I will open those up for a tour for anybody that wants to come see them. Jeff Harrison, you can come see those. That'd be a good time. They should be ready then for a tour. I've been promising Jeff a look at those as well. So anyway, and any staff that's present are welcome to come and see what the model rooms are going to look like for the new Delta Hotel. That'll be there. Any other events, please look at our website for future events on the MidwestCityOK.org. All the events are on there, and you can calendar those for your personal calendars. Sales tax report for the month of October, which takes in half of August and half of July. That's right, isn't it, Christie? I always get it wrong. What? Okay, thank you. It's good to be right every once in a while. So, our sales tax is starting to flatten out a little bit after 4 really good months, but we're still up year over year, about 4.54% of sales and use tax over last year. And as you know, we had projected our sales tax down for this fiscal year versus projection. So for the month, we were 22% above projection, and we are 29.73% above projection for the year at this point in time.
So are we following a trend that all the other cities are flattening out?
They are, and it's a very good question. So we looking at some comparable cities. Dell City was down -4.52. Oklahoma City's down 4.11. Moore was up 5.87, and this is sales and use tax together. They were up 5.87 year over year. Edmond was up 2.11. Norman was up 4.35. Yukon was down 2.9. And really, those are the only ones. Those are the main metro comparisons. So, looks like everybody's kind of flattened out a little bit at this point. Councilman Reed. Any other questions on the sales tax? Okay. And I believe that's all I have, Mayor.
All right, Mr. Lund, appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, move into our consent agenda. These items are placed on consent agenda so that the council, by unanimous consent, can approve routine agenda items by one motion. If any item proposed does not meet with the approval of the council or members of the audience wish to discuss an item, it will be removed and heard in regular order. I understand that item 6 is to be pulled and discussed. Is that correct? Is there any other items? Chair to entertain a motion to approve with the exception of item 6.
Move to so approve with the exception of item 6.
I had a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Item number 6, Mr. Lyon.
TS dash 444, discussion and consideration of adding traffic calming measures along the 9,000 block of Cardinal Place and building road extensions along Woodland Drive north of Northeast 10th Street and Northeast 6th from Briarwood to Moraine Avenue. Patrick and Vaughn, I think, is going to handle this item.
Mayor, Council, first I'd like to say I'm kind of proud of this item, and it started with a petition from one of our citizens. They turned a concerning memo to me with the residents in the area about speeding and pass-through traffic in their neighborhood, particularly along Cardinal Drive. This turned into a neighborhood meeting that we were fortunate to attend. We talked about different items and different ways to try to address this, with everyone coming to a consensus that we would like to try some new innovative ways to calm down traffic, have it slow down, particularly along Cardinal Drive, see how the residents in the area react to it, and if it's effective, look to expand it in the neighborhood. That was met with a positive response from the residents in the neighborhood, and the second part of that, second part of that discussion was looking at doing some road projects in the future in that area to help connectivity, so the residents and the people that pass through that neighborhood don't use Cardinal Drive as a way to cut through the neighborhood and access to Douglas Boulevard. Those two items were generated into a memo that went to Traffic and Safety Commission. The applicant came, spoke to the commission. They were positive in their response, and they wanted to move the item forward here to council. There's some exhibits and some different things that we'd like to try. There's some pictures of those in the agenda item, and I'm here to discuss options to help with that and, you know, take any questions.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you coming out, the mayor, myself, and the mayor, myself, you, and Chief Claves met with the community, and they were very susceptible to the idea of some traffic calming, things to help them out in their neighborhood. They have a lot of traffic going through there just to go to Douglas Boulevard or get back through the other side of the neighborhood. And so I know that one of the neighbors are here tonight, and I'd like for them to just stand up and give their spiel on what happened that night and how they're feeling right now, because they have been through a lot within their community with that traffic that's going through there. Even with the speeding, slow speeding sign that we have out there to collect those speeders, it's still happening. And so I have Mr. Garcia here tonight who wants to speak on that.
Yes, thank you, SB. Mr. Garcia is our original applicant, and he's been in lockstep the whole way through the process, and I'm sure he'd like to address the council.
Mr. Garcia? When you arrive at the podium, could you please state your name and address for the record?
Absolutely. Good evening. Felix Garcia, 9201 East Cardinal Place, in this lovely town of Midwest City. We are very proud residents of Midwest City. Not only do we love Midwest City, we love the people who serve this city like you. We are very proud of our representative, Ward 3, Ms. Bowen. I'm a Vietnam veteran, sir, just like many others. I also served in Vietnam. My dad went into the military at the age of 17 from Puerto Rico. We're Puerto Ricans, not Mexicans. Nothing against Mexicans. But we're from Puerto Rico. We're Hispanic, just like the Mexican folks. Dad went in to fight World War II and loved the military and decided to stay. He became an officer in the Army, went to Korea to fight, and made it through that too. Then my dear dad, he loved what this country stands for: freedom, liberty. He continued to serve this country and went to Vietnam. Dad passed away 2 years ago. I am telling you this because I honor my father. He was my best friend. And he served this country with pride, just like these men and women in uniform today. You know why they do that? It's not because of a check. It's because they love this country. So do I. So do you. I was telling a lieutenant in the police department, Lieutenant Simonson, how much we appreciate the police department and the sacrifices they make every day, just like we appreciate the military. And I'm thankful to God. I appreciate the prayer from the pastor. I'm thankful to God. I'm a pastor myself, by the way, that I live in Midwest City and not in Seattle or Portland or Atlanta or New York City. I'm proud to be a part of Midwest City. And you folks do an outstanding job. Patrick, I've gotten to know him as well, Ms. Bowen, the mayor, the police chief. We're very proud of you and thankful. I want you to know that. You didn't come here to listen to all that. You came here to listen to why we have this problem in East Cardinal Place. I am the spokesman for our community. I have my good neighbor with me, Todd Tilden. We have a very serious problem on East Cardinal Drive and North King Avenue. Very serious problem. What am I talking about? We're talking about a 25-mile-per-hour residential speed limit. But people there don't do 25. They do 55. They do 65. Some do 75. And we have had neighbors who walk the dogs and have their children playing on the street and almost get run over. It's a serious problem. We need for you folks, please, to do something. I know Patrick has done a tremendous job in proposing calming measures to at least temporarily relieve this problem. Somebody's going to get killed out there, ladies and gentlemen. Before that happens, please, we need to do something. Just the other night, a lady walking her dog came to me and said, "You know what, Felix? There was a car that came by so fast, if I had not gotten out of the way, he would have run over me. That was one of my neighbors. This is serious business. Some people just don't understand the seriousness of violating the law. It says 25 miles per hour in a residential place, and yet people don't care. The police has been so gracious with the chief. Nice gentleman, dedicated to serving the public also. With a lighted police sign, and it indicates at what speed you drive by from where the sign is located. And what do you see? Slow down, slow down. That's what you see from the traffic police sign. I was telling Ms. Bowen, might as well take it down and use it somewhere else because people don't obey the law. And then they kill somebody and they want to apologize to the family. Well, you know what? It's too late. We cannot bring that victim back. That's what we're trying to prevent. So we've had, like Patrick said, several meetings already. We're going to have some more meetings. And we're open to the traffic calming measures that Mr. Menifee, Patrick, has proposed. I think what's going to really do the trick here, in our opinion, in the neighborhood, is for opening the extensions from Woodland Drive into Northeast 10th, opening that up, and also Northeast 6th to Christine, where these people on the east side of us can have access to Northeast 10th and Reno Avenue more readily, and they will not need to come through our East Cardinal Drive. Please understand me something. We're not opposed to people driving on East Cardinal Place. We're not opposed to that. This is a free country. What we're opposed to is for people to violate the speed limits. It's a residential area. It's not a highway. That's what we're opposed to. So anything that you folks can do to consider and implement what has been proposed by Mr. Menifee, what the Traffic and Safety Commission approved. I was at that meeting. A lot of good people, too. We will certainly be grateful to you. If there's any questions, I'll be happy to entertain them.
Well, first off, thank you for showing up.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure, again,
Thank you, sir.
to see you again.
Likewise.
Mr. Menifee has put a lot of hard work into this, and this
Yes.
has become kind of his passion. With that being said, if there's any other discussion, I would entertain a motion to approve item number 6.
I'm sorry, but I have discussion with regard to this one.
I'm sorry?
I have discussion with regard to this one.
Okay.
So my concern is with regard to the proposed traffic calming devices. And I appreciate the plight that you're in completely, and I see it in my own neighborhoods, in my own ward, and I don't question it for a minute, and I appreciate all of your efforts and
Thank
so
you.
forth. I just have not seen the traffic calming devices that are currently in existence in my ward be effective to slow down the traffic. Likewise, I've had stop signs put in. Then I get complaints that the stop signs are in, great, we're so excited, thank you so much. They're not following the stop signs. I mean, at the bottom line, it's just people choosing not to obey the law. But my concern is with the efficacy of the traffic calming devices. And we had some discussion about this issue previously on these traffic calming devices, and it's never been sort of brought to fruition about the efficacy of the traffic calming devices. And so that's where my concern goes. I certainly appreciate the neighborhood's plight, and I think that we need to assist them. My concern is how we're going to do that.
Well, I think, like Mr. Garcia said, it's temporary until we can get a permanent fix for that area. So I think if we have to try something, and the traffic calming devices will help, that's my opinion, where they are.
And we second that opinion, ma'am. I think they will help. It is not a permanent solution, but it is a solution that will help us, at least help the people who drive by slow down some. How effective will it be? Time will tell.
And I'm assuming that as part of this overall process, and I've looked through this information, but I'm assuming that the police have done special emphasis in the neighborhood and they're just not effective. Is that?
I'm glad you brought
Is
that
that
up,
correct?
ma'am.
Yes.
So if I could borrow Patrick for just 1 second. I'm sorry,
Certainly.
Mr. Garcia, can I ask you to let
Yes,
him
ma'am.
step up there for 1 second? So, and I'm speaking specifically to the traffic calming devices installed on Key Boulevard, south of 15th, okay? How is this gonna differ from that? I mean, are we gonna get something like these raised posts type of thing, or that are
That's the-
photographed here, or?
Yes, ma'am, that's the initial thought. You know, there's several varieties of these instruments to help slow down traffic some. I think when we started discussing these a little while back, we're just gonna have to do a trial and error study to see what's more effective when they're installed versus some other installations. What I'm proposing, we haven't installed yet, they are gonna be different than the Key Boulevard installations. I hope that they're effective, but, you know, I think the best way to find that out is get them on site, let the residents in the area react to them, drive through them, and get their, you know, their feedback on how they think they're helping with the situation.
And so then from that point, I'm assuming you're gonna continue, Patrick, to work with the residents, the neighborhood, and of course, SB, Ms. Bowen, sorry, to Councilwoman from Ward 3, there we go, to make sure the situation is improving and adjust accordingly, is that?
Yes,
What am
ma'am.
I
I think it's gonna be very important to get the feedback from the local residents around these to see how effective they are, because like Mr. Garcia said, we can only spend so much time out on those sites. You know,
Absolutely.
they're the
As
ones
can
that-
the police department, obviously, in special emphasis. And,
Yes.
and Mr. Garcia, I will just echo the frustration with the flashing speed sign. We tried to use that in my ward and people just completely ignored it. I mean, it might as well have not been there. So I would ask as a favor that you come back and let us know how this is working, or Ms. Bowen, if you want to share that information on how this is working so that we can use this as insight for other projects in the city.
And we'll
on traffic
provide,
calming
we'll
devices.
provide feedback to the council as well on how this project works. And Patrick's doing continuous study on, I think you maybe sent something to the council today on some other devices that are being used around the country. So we'll continue to work and we'll report back.
And the council's also gonna have to be, willing, we're gonna have to spend some money up there and opening up those streets. That's gonna be the ultimate, cure for their area, especially on the backside, north side of that, cause people are coming, there's only one way out of there, and they're utilizing Cardinal or they're utilizing King. So that's gonna be, we're gonna have to be willing to spend the money to do that. It's not that expensive, it truly isn't. Patrick's already done some preliminary studies on the cost. So in next budget session, we need to dedicate that money and get it done. We really do.
Fair warning to the rest of the council. There's one of these issues in my ward we've been waiting on too for over a year on a traffic calming device. I think you're
I
gonna
was
see
fixing
it
to bring that
the
up.
1st of November.
And
over
like
by
I
a-
say,
Over by a school.
we've seen revision at the one on Key Boulevard already, and I'm not seeing the
It's gonna be a continued
effect
process.
out of that. So, I mean, I think there are several around the city that when we're planning and plotting for how we're gonna address some of these problems, there are multiple locations that are gonna need that same kind of assistance.
Well, when
Okay.
Mr. Garcia.
It's gonna be a continual process.
Yeah.
Mr. Garcia made a really good point too, is that, the one that I'm talking about is over by the school on Murray. We can't wait, just like he can't wait for somebody walking a dog to get hit. We can't wait for some kid walking
Some
to
kid,
school to get hurt.
Exactly.
So if we have to spend a little bit of money, to put something in, and they do work. I mean, and I did some research when we were doing the deal on Murray, and you're not gonna catch everybody. I mean, the stop signs, speed limit signs, let's face it, they're suggestions. People are either gonna obey it or they're not. But we, as Midwest City representatives, we need to do something to make an effort to slow these people down. In a perfect world, we'd put steel plates up there and they'd hit it at 50 miles an hour and then they wouldn't be going anywhere. They'd take the axle right under. You can't do that. That would solve the problem. But we've got to do something. In these calming devices, if you read there's a lot of literature out there by the federal government. It's meant to slow cars down. And, you know, the people either pay attention to them or they don't. And hopefully, the majority of people will pay attention to them.
And plus too, we need to trust our engineer on bringing these forward and letting him try. You know, it's gonna be a hit and miss on some of them, but we've gotta be receptive to new ideas and allowing them to go forward and again, spending the money to do so. So, again, with that being said, is there any further discussion?
No? Did you
Chair-
have a last word?
Yes, I just wanted to make one additional comment.
Yes, sir, Mr.
We're
Garcia.
very thankful for the police department, that whenever they take the time to come out to East Cardinal or North King Avenue, you could tell because people are doing 25 or less, okay? That tells us that the police is out there somewhere monitoring speed. Once they're gone, believe me when I tell you, because I live there, it's back to 55, 60, 65, okay? We're thankful for the chief. I mean, the police has enough worries and commitments, more important things to do, crimes in this city, than to be spending time on East Cardinal and North King monitoring speed. So this is why we're grateful for.
Sir, but I will say though
Patrick.
that
Yes, sir.
I will say that I agree with you, they have better things to do, but if you deter people from speeding, a lot of times you deter other crimes. So getting the officers there to write as many tickets as they can, which I know they are, that also goes towards a safer neighborhood.
Patrick, I got a question. How much light is on this street if you put these calming devices in? Is that gonna, because I look on the map right here, and that's a little bit rural.
You're correct, it
So
is a little bit of a rural
Are they gonna be able
setting.
to see them at night?
They're supposed to. They're reflective, they're bright yellow. Again, we'll have to put them in play, make sure that they are visible, and if there's some adjustment necessary to make them more effective, then, you know.
There is a lack of
address
street
that.
lighting over there, and maybe we can address that as well.
Yes.
I think there's one light pole in the whole area, just one.
Is it LED? LED shows, goes a lot more light out than the regular.
No, it's
Yeah,
not,
it
it's an
hadn't
older
been
one.
changed over yet.
That might be one that we ask OG&E if they can get on it.
Okay. We can do
All right,
that.
ladies and gentlemen, once again,
Thank you.
thank you
much.
for being here, sir.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. I'd entertain a motion to approve item 6.
Move to approve?
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. We move into our discussion items. I will, item number 1 and number 3, no action needed on these two items. So, Mr. Lyon, item number 2.
Discussion and consideration of passing and approving an ordinance amending the Midwest City Municipal Code, Chapter 2, Administration, Article 2, City Council, Section 2-11, Time of Regular Meetings of Council, and providing for repealer and severability.
Ladies and gentlemen, this was brought to us by Mr. Reed. Apparently, he doesn't enjoy our company enough to attend these meetings twice a year, or twice a month. So in an attempt to appease Mr. Reed, we are going to pull back on several of the months. In all honesty, it actually reduces the workload of staff on getting ready. But, and we are going to go to a 7 and 5 schedule. But there's a couple of caveats that we need to remind everybody of. Is number 1, our agendas are going to be a little bit more lengthy on the months that we only have one meeting. And So be prepared to stay for that. And also, there are going to be times when on the months that we have one meeting, that things have to get heard, and we may have to call a special meeting to accomplish that. So with a little bit of gain, there's a little bit of pain. So just please keep that in mind. So if there's no objection or any other discussion on this, I'd entertain a motion.
Oh, I have discussion, sorry. I
You gotta
can't,
be that one tonight.
I can't help myself, I'm
Okay.
sorry. Like, I'm on a roll,
You're-
so.
Your attorney, I give you a pass on it.
In fairness, wait till you see my Halloween costume. No, that wouldn't be a Halloween costume. That would be an honor. Okay, so the language specified related to this item in the ordinance, the language specified in the memo says at a time to be determined, a date, an hour to be set by ordinance or resolution, but the ordinance specifies still 6 p.m. And I'm just gonna voice my objection once again to the 6 p.m. start time, because it is extremely difficult whenever you work a full-time job and you don't work in Midwest City to make a 6 o'clock meeting type of thing. So that was an ask that was made, and if Mr. Reed can ask for accommodation for us to stretch out these meetings to maybe
Would,
only have them once a month, if we could push the time back even by 30 minutes, it would be hugely
Would
beneficial.
6:30 be acceptable?
That's my ask.
I'm good with that.
Well, with that being said, does anybody have any issues with that? 6:30 instead of staff, or Mr. Lyon, you have any issue with that?
Be honest.
Because the other issue is, in fairness, Mr. Lyon, is, sometimes you guys like to double stack meetings and you like to have pre-meetings. And that's the best time to get us here, is to have a pre-meeting. And if you're gonna have a pre-meeting and that starts at 5 or 5:30, I mean, again, to try to accomplish those things, that,
Can we do 6 o'clock on the months when we have one meeting, since they're gonna be longer? And 6:30 on the months when we have two meetings?
Does that complicate your life, Ms. City Clerk?
I
I
mean-
take that as a no.
I'm just thinking in terms of publishing the notice and for that, and us trying to remember what time we're supposed to be where type of thing, might be.
I don't have any issue with either one. Yes, sir, Mr. Lyon,
Just-
Mr. Sullivan.
Just a
Preacher man.
reminder that the reason we went to 6 o'clock was because we eliminated pre-council.
Absolutely.
That does lengthen our council meeting. Not having pre-council lengthens our council meetings significantly. And so that, just a reminder, that's why we went 6 o'clock, was because we eliminated pre-council.
So once again, does anyone have any issue with the 30-minute?
Well, and I understand where Susan's coming from, but I think one of the reasons that I understood that we were changing, and I know you're picking on Sean, but it's really to the benefit of the staff that we're doing it like
Absolutely.
this too. And I really think that we need to let the staff, we need to know how it's gonna affect your guys' day. Because, I understand where Susan's coming from, and she has a valid concern, but the staff is also, it's gonna affect your day.
5 o'clock, sir.
Pardon me?
We'll vote for 5 o'clock, sir. Just kidding.
No, seriously, I mean, what is,
A little add an hour and a half to the day. I mean, we're not adding an hour now, and we try to feed everybody, but, we're here to serve. I mean, we'll be okay at 6:30 if that's the will of the council. I do like the idea of splitting it, but if it's too confusing,
I'm just saying, in fairness too, it doesn't just serve me, but, likewise, SB works, she works in the city too. Sean, and particularly in tax season, he struggles to get here to be here at 6 o'clock. So, I mean, I'm not alone in this aspect. But,
Well, how about-
if it
how about the
behooves
compromise?
everybody else, I mean, I'm already bending my schedule to be able to get here. And if it's too much of a burden for staff to be able to stay the extra time, I get that, because it does extend the day, and I know then you adjust their days the next day, or Is that just a rumor that I heard that's not true?
They don't get to do that, they're.
Never mind.
You
Okay,
asked
well,
us-
apparently that was just a
You asked for
rumor.
staff to be honest.
Yes, really.
Staff would like to have pre-council back, Mr. Mayor. We'd like to have pre-council.
I bet Billy would like to stop calling all the council members in advance, trying to ask us if we need anything, and instead just let us show up at 6 o'clock and eat and talk at that point.
Well, Ms. Sullivan, we can visit that offline.
Okay. Just trying to be honest, sir.
No problem.
Well, but if we're considering doing that, that would adjust the time that we start. I mean,
That would definitely.
Let me make this proposal. When do the dates and times have to be posted, Sarah?
January,
Okay?
December,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Well,
How about we
it's-
just table this for right now? You guys talk with staff about the pre-council, bring it back to us with a, take no action, and with the determination, if we're gonna go to pre-council, back. That way we just do it one time, we set the rules what they are, and there's no confusion on, or misunderstanding.
And let me throw this idea out maybe to accommodate everybody. 6:30 meeting, 6 o'clock pre-council. You don't have to be in pre-council. You need to get better ears. 6:30 meeting, 6 o'clock pre-council. When we used to have pre-council, there was a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, we don't need to go over every consent agenda idea at all. That was a waste of time. We'd go through 30 items on a consent agenda and then hurry up in the last 5 minutes to cover 10 items in the regular agenda. So if we could get people focused and do a 6:30 meeting, 6 o'clock pre-council, nobody has to be at pre-council if they don't have to. I assume everybody reads their agenda, so even if they miss it, they know what's going on. And that would be a compromise all the way around. Vaughn?
We're here to serve, as Mr.
Let- Yeah, let's,
We serve at your pleasure, sir.
Let's, I'll go ahead and take,
hang on though. I really, we do need to take some action on knowing when the council meetings are gonna be, because Billy has to back into all these, and that's why we're doing it now, not in December, because he needs to plan. I mean, planning and zoning takes a long time to get through all those processes, so,
Does it cause Billy hardship to wait 2 weeks? Till next week.
well, next council meeting is gonna be arduous at best.
Yeah.
Let's, Mr. Reed,
Yeah.
your compromise is, sounds great. Does anybody have a real problem with that? And if we can always come back and amend this if it becomes too arduous throughout the year. 6 o'clock pre-council, 6:30, council.
We
And
do
let's
need,
not do
we do need to,
pre-council. I'm not ready to agree to pre-council. I mean, with these times.
Yeah, I would agree with Pat. I think maybe have a discussion offline between you and staff and then come back. 27th or a different.
one thing,
Can this be a consent agenda item next, 2 weeks now, or does the council have to vote, have a discussion on it? If
It can be consent.
agenda, you guys can figure out
It
what
can be
needs to be
consent.
done. And we do have,
It can't be consent.
okay.
but also remember that whatever is a public meeting does count toward the attendance.
Yeah, that
So-
pre-council is gonna be problematic.
well,
and it-
my question with pre-council wasn't to have it as a meeting, it was to have it as an option for us to be able to have an opportunity to talk to staff. So it wouldn't be a mandatory pre-council, it would just give us 30 minutes to be able to answer questions or,
You can't have a meeting where you're inviting the majority of the council to be and not call it a council meeting.
So what was the compromise? The 6:30 is gonna be when? Which meetings? Okay, when we have two, it'll be 6:30. Okay, let's go with the compromise. That would be my recommendation, and we can,
Split times, the ones we have one, we go to 6 o'clock, and the ones when we have two, we go to 6:30.
yeah.
Is that acceptable to everyone?
It doesn't really make me any, I just have grandkids to babysit, so it doesn't make any difference.
Okay, the chair would entertain a motion.
Okay, make it clear, making a motion that on the months that we have one meeting, the meeting starts at 6. The months that we have 2 meetings, the meeting starts at 6:30. That's my motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second.
And those dates are on the agenda.
Yes.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Very good discussion. Thanks, everybody. Next item will be item number 4.
Discussion, consideration of an ordinance amending Chapter 9 Buildings and Building Regulations of the Midwest City Code by taking Article 10 out of reserve and entitling it Medical Marijuana Businesses, taking the following sections out of reserve and entitling them Section 9-616 Certificate of Compliance and Section 9-616 Fees and Provider for Repealer and Severability. Mr. Harless.
Thank you, Mr. Lyon. This is a ordinance change that has come through the Ordinance Review Committee. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for helping bring that through, and also the other two members, Councilman Eads and Mayor Dukes, for helping us bring this through. It's what it is. It complies with or helps the certificates of compliance with all the medical marijuana dispensaries, the grow facilities, the processing, and the research facilities. Right now, we don't have any research facilities in Midwest City, but we do have 25 dispensaries, 6 grow, and 6 processing. And what this does is we've taken what Oklahoma City charges for their inspections. This is a yearly inspection for the building department. They go out and make sure that, there's been a lot of discussion in the past about on the processing, that comes through you all, and the rules are set there. This allows them the building officials to go in and make sure that they're processing the way that the ordinance is laid out, or the way that the hearing is laid out for that. And then also all the compliance with the electrical and the things that are going on in the grow facilities. But we may have 2, 3, 4 staff out there once a year going through these facilities, but this allows to charge for those. There was some discussion about making them all $750 annual fee. Staff is okay with that, whatever your pleasure. But we like the ordinance and like to move forward with it.
So the 750, it's my turn to have a comment, which I always seem to talk. The 750 fee for the dispensary, grow, processing, and research facility goes to the general fund to offset actual costs. When I talked to Billy today, the reason that they had 615 for the dispensaries is it takes basically the fire marshal to walk in. It takes one person. The others has an electrical engineer and everything else. But my thoughts are, and we have 25 dispensaries in Midwest City, as we've seen with a dispensary or two, once the fire marshal touches it and it's open, we tend to have more interaction with law enforcement because neighbors get mad, police get called, you get unruly crowds, whatever else. I think that fee should go from $615 to $750 to offset the cost that we're going to have for additional calls for service. That was my only thought on having them all to be the same. Plus, it's also easier to administer from a perspective of your accounting office and everybody else when you just have one fee and it's all the same.
So all these fees will come through the general fund, so 62% of that will go to police and fire. So, I mean, that, what Councilman Reed is asking will help support their enforcement.
I support that revision.
Well, in that case, the chair would entertain a motion to approve.
Mr. Reed, you want to make it?
Motion to approve.
Well, with the increase.
All section 9-67 fees, 1, A, B, C, and D will all have a $750 annual fee.
Section 9-617.
Yep.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Next item, number 5.
Discussion and consideration of an ordinance amending Chapter 15, Fire Protection and Prevention of the Midwest City Code by amending Article 2 in general, Division 1, generally, and by taking Section 15-29 out of reserve, entitling it Failure to Maintain, establishing effective date, and providing for repealer and severability. Chief?
Mayor and council, thank you for your attention. This too was brought to the Ordinance Review Committee. We've been challenged to look at our ordinances and get them caught up to where they should be in current times. And this is one that we just missed for a while. We've had some issues in the past with false alarms to certain commercial properties and even some residential, but the main deal has been with commercial properties. And there's not a lot of attention that's given to getting those fixed in a timely fashion. We believe this ordinance will help to encourage those people to get some fixes. They'll be allowed 3 false alarms before they'll be getting some fines after that. This falls in line with what our police department does currently in the ticketing. The mayor has been involved in that for several years. We just never have had it. We thought we had it. We started looking into it. We didn't have it and thought we needed to bring to you guys so we can get caught up in current times to get some effectiveness on this.
So how do
Once
you
again,
break
it's a-
down,
Go ahead, Mr. Reed.
how do you break down the plus costs?
The what?
How is it broken down? So a business or has their 4th alarm, false alarm, $200 per offense plus costs. How do you determine what the costs are for a engine to run out there, determine it's false and come back?
That plus cost is dealing
Those are
with
the
whatever
court
goes to
costs
court
that are
costs.
passed on to-
All right.
to
Yes, sir,
the,
it's court costs.
to
We
the
did this for a while back. We were looking at some stuff.
Technology fee and several other fees.
thought they were saying what their costs are running.
No, sir, Councilman, we did some research a couple of years ago on some stuff for cost, and our burden rate probably 2 years ago was around $275 an hour for the apparatus and the people that are on it, so, this doesn't even come close to touching that, but it just encourages them after a while to get some attention paid on something, reduces our liability for people running through, the fire trucks responding to something, that's not really an alarm. It's just, we've had one, just a couple weeks ago. They went to, 3 or 4 times that same day. They just kept tripping the breaker off and on to do something and set an alarm, set an alarm, set an alarm. And we're going to, and it's just, they need overtime. They just need some attention to them. The homeowners are usually pretty good about that, getting them fixed, because it's not so many of them. Plus, it's not necessarily commercial rate, but just sometimes we just need a little extra help to get this going the right direction.
It's a good idea, Chief.
Move to approve.
Second.
Had a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. Item number 6, Mr. Lyons.
Discussion consideration of an ordinance amending Midwest City Municipal Code, Chapter 28, offenses dash miscellaneous, Article 4, offenses against property by amending Section 28-57, petty larceny, establishing an effective date, and providing for repealer and severability. Ms. Floyd.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Currently, our petty larceny ordinance only applies to retail establishments. And so in looking at the statute, the state statute is adding a porch piracy statute effective November 1st. So we looked at adding some language in subsection E to include mail, letters, packages that are left at people's porches or on the delivery trucks that are being taken, so that we could add that as petty larceny.
I asked for this one
Yeah, that's good.
in response to complaints about porch piracy, and reference the state statute that's going to be coming into effect. And I just want to again thank Ms. Floyd and Ms. Poole for their support with regard to this, and Ms. Floyd's efforts to draft this. And if nobody has any questions, I'm moving to approve it.
And
I second.
thank you, Ms. Eads, for pointing that out to us on the porch pirates, because it did come from you, or so.
I have a motion and I have a second. Any further discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention, motion carries. Mr. Lyon, number 7.
Discussion consideration of an ordinance amending Chapter 43, Water, Sewer, Sewage Disposal, and Stormwater Quality of the Midwest City Code by amending Article 2, Water, Division 1, generally, Section 43-18, Section 43-32, Division 3, 43-109, Division 5, other provisions relating to taps and connections, Section 43-166 and 43-178, establishing effective date, providing for repealer and severability.
Mr. Streets.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, staff. It's good to see you again. I welcome any questions. Truth be told, this is cleanup. This is an opportunity for us to go in and take care of issues where there were conflicts with other ordinances, or just clean it up so that it actually reflects our operation day to day. And so that's what you see right now. It's nothing more than a cleanup on the ordinance. And I want to thank, there are a couple people actually, Sarah and Heather and Vicky at various times have helped us clean this up, and that's why there are so many that are listed. But we'd appreciate your consideration. If you have questions, I welcome them.
And this went through the ordinance review committee as
Correct.
well.
Chair to entertain a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Second.
A motion and a second, any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed, abstention, motion carries. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Streets. Ladies and gentlemen, move into the new business public discussion. Does anyone have anything to bring before the council? Hearing none, we are hereby.
Sir, this gentleman down here, like to speak, he had his hand raised.
Yes, sir, Mr. Garcia.
Time is running out, so I'll be quick. Your next meeting is gonna be the 27th, is it, of
27th,
October?
yes, sir.
At 6 p.m.?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we're going to discuss the cell tower issue that they're planning on putting on East Cardinal Place. And I've mentioned to Ms. Bowen that we're going to send her a letter with many attachments because the community is opposed to having this done. This is just for your information. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, and again, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Okay, no further discussion, we're hereby adjourned. I call to order the Midwest City Municipal Authority. We have two discussion items. Mr. Lyon.
Discussion, consideration, approve the minutes of the September 22nd, 2020 regular meeting as submitted.
And motion and second, any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, abstention, motion carries. Second discussion item.
Discussion, consideration of supplemental budget adjustments in the following funds, fiscal year 2020 and 21, increase utilities capital outlay fund, expense utility services of $25,509.
Move to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second, discussion. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, abstention, motion carries. We now move into new business public discussion of our agenda. Does anyone have anything to bring before authority? Hearing none, we are hereby adjourned. I call to order the City of Midwest City Memorial Hospital Authority. We have two discussion items. Mr. Lyon.
Discussion, consideration, approve the minutes of the September 22nd, 2020 regular meeting as submitted.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and second, any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries. Now, item number 2.
No action needed.
No action needed on number 2. We now move into the new business public discussion. Does anyone have anything to bring before the authority? Hearing none, we do have a executive session attached to this agenda. Mr. Lyon.
Discussion, consideration of one, entering into executive session is allowed under 25 OS Section 307C11 to confer on matters pertaining to economic development, including the transfer of property, financing, or other creation of a proposal to entice a business to remain or locate within the city. And 2, an open session authorizing the general manager, administrator to take action as appropriate based on the discussion in executive session.
Chair to entertain a motion to move into executive session.
Move to adjourn to executive session.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we now move into executive session. I ask that you vacate the council chamber.